On your last visit.
You good?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we're good. So, is this what you meant by coming here almost every day? Nope. Nope. I'm sorry, it's late. I'm so sorry. Not even close. The classrooms closest to R are designated belong to class 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor still, with the identical doors, are rooms that I don't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept, or not in use. Am I in the right place? Desk and chairs and all around the room, a thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corner, so that at least it looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desk. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room. Oh, anybody ho? Something catches my eye. I stop mid-sentence. Oh!
What?
Sitting on the desk is a short-haired girl curiously wearing a boy's uniform with a fork between her toes, a morsel of food stuck firmly in the end. That's an odd way of dining. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands.
Oh.
But her presence here is what makes me takes me aback even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in a corner very still, but I still somehow took her as part of the furnishing or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. This girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. Isn't it deer in headlights?
Nah, he's got a thing for rabbits.
Right, apparently. But not Gates. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned in silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically.
Hello.
The girl stuffs the fork in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello? I was told to pick up some supplies from here. From the festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there was somebody here.
There isn't. That's why I came here too.
Oh! She picked up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? She raises her eyebrow as if she was suspecting my observation was false.
You're pretty observant. I guess it does, but who are you?
This girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I'm Nakai, Hisao Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday.
I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin. Rin Tezuka. I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice.
Her dead-pod manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about handshaking or not. Oh, that smug look on her face? Totally joking. It kind of bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. It's because you're stuck up.
Because you're a dick.
Yeah. While I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether this girl she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food.
Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back.
Go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day.
What word would you use then? If there's no word for a meal you eat after lunch, but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say.
I don't think you're supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with. Oh, he just called her fat.
Dude.
Oh.
But I'm hungry now and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry, it's very delicious.
With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes and at least as And with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai. Oh,
Hey,
that's you.
hey.
Sorry.
Don't steal my character. I have too much fun with this accent anyway.
So, Nakai, what brings you to this place?
Like I said, I was told to look for these things.
No, the school. From outside you look fine. It's your problem inside?
I came to a full stop, opening my mouth but not getting a word out.
I can guess. I'm good at guessing. Better than most people.
Rin cuts me off before I can answer a question, or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of the issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's only because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code here, as the teacher said. I wonder if people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my mind, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts a fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mass of dark shadows on the other side.
I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants.
This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement, and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widened in revelation and astonishment.
So I was right. There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there?
Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing I can think of. No, nothing like that. I have a heart problem. I don't know this word still.
Arrhythmia! You've said it like 4 times.
You've said it 4 times.
Okay, say arrhythmia.
Arrhythmia. I said it more like I blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed.
How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous.
What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down?
I forgive you. I collect people, and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great.
Collect people?
People with different problems.
Huh, so you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them?
Pretty much.
I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch and the conversation dies away, but I keep thinking about what she said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else, or didn't need to know about it like every other student here so far. So I have told it as a natural part of introductions. Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hisao. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us? What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just is a natural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, I chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is burnt auburn, almost orange, and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms make her look very tiny, almost scrawny. She is not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. The distance and the shadow make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight would discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone in this late, or do you get the occasional visitor?
Visitors. Maybe you're my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof if she's not horsing around.
Horsing?
She likes to do sports.
Look at that face.
Oh. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. It's probably Emmy.
Yeah.
It's totally Emmy.
Yeah.
Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bit of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. So I think I have all the things now.
That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was just about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you're going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping.
I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka.
So awkward.
You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship at this point is good enough to warrant this much.
I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao.
Then you are.
Yeah, Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but it's an intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. What? It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times and I can figure out why a pause like that just popped between us out of nowhere.
See you later, Hisao.
There's something like a tiny smile there in her face, maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, "What an intriguing person." From inside,
Just
I hear
think of Monty Python, like,
What a strange person!
From inside, I hear a muffled, sing-song voice.
I heard that.
aw.
Oh.
Jump scare.
What did she hear?
I jumped at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about the global feminist conspiracy, but I pushed that thought aside. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof, as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited.
No, wait. More importantly, who's in there? There's no club meetings today.
She tries to curiously peek past me even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here?
You took so long, we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan.
She wags her finger at me scoldingly.
I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy.
Gome. I got the things here. Was just going to bring them.
I think you were up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who was in there with you, I wonder?
Misha signs something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she is experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders. From a suppressed rage, I'm sure.
Jesus.
Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a couple of deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. She's pissed.
She mad.
Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me, as if it were somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Oh.
Hello.
Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face.
Oh.
Hello. Miss Tezuka, what do you think you were doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school property for such, disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular.
It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events, but at any rate, she ignores Shizune and Misha's scolding, so that I have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, pointing at Rin, and makes some quick signs.
Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore.
Anyway, how's your project?
Hey.
Oh, whoa. Sorry.
Chicken mucker.
Wow.
Anyway, how's your project going? Will it be done for the festival?
Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure. Shizune's cold stare is putting on her.
I keep wondering about that myself, too. And? We'll think about it harder.
As Misha signs her reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown.
Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it.
Rin nods assertively.
We'll think more seriously.
Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't. Not even after translation. He just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo.
How rude. It's true enough, I must finish my project before the weekend. There'll be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future.
Sarcastic.
So... I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom.
Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it.
She kicks slightly at the huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. Heavy. Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it?
Away.
And with that, she takes off to the hallway. Me and the paint can follow since there's a little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now that Shizune and Misha gone, so we two leave toward the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps, I have to change the can from one hand to another because of the thin handle cuts into my palm. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I am walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Oh, what's his voice again?
It was like a Muppet.
Mr. Nakai. What a happy coincidence. Tezuka too, of course. He nods courteously to Rin. Oh, that sounds like he nods! Whoa, 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 whoa! He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me because obviously it's me who he has business with. There's something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medication. Since you haven't that long in your current medication, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So, we will do a few tests regularly, but what I want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off. If you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything, death. I don't know. And come see me if something happens. All right? So, how are you? Everything daijoubu desu? I give up and drop the can on the floor before answering him. Apparently, this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here, my parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, so not so much for a school. Except, well, this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great. Also, one other thing. My sources tell me that you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool. So I'd like to know if you've taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me? The psychic spy.
Oh, it's totally Misha and she's an A.
Not as such. I just happen to know a few people, but that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I actually was doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can up a few times, like a sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down my arms painfully. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, then comes back like it was never gone. Sasuke, would you give us a second? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When did I tell you exercise? When I told you to exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you're still on your first week and all, but please do not ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. And it's the same with everything, like dieting. And the smoking issue I have, apparently. Can you promise me to be more serious from now on?
Yes, get off my back.
Yeah? Or do
Yeah.
we give him attitude?
No, not attitude.
Okay.
He's all up in your face.
Dude, no. When he's all up in his face is the day he opens his eyes.
He opens one eye sometimes.
Oh. Yeah, I promise, definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay. Oh, okay. That's more like it.
Time to go chain smoke some more.
If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want to jog a bit.
Oh, it's Emmy. It's Emmy.
Consultation? See you around. I'm keeping my eye on you.
The
He
one
did
eye
eat that
I can
one.
open.
He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who has been waiting, idly leaning against the hallway wall and staring at a pale lighting fixture in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them.
Are you getting medication for your heart thingy?
Were you listening? It comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out at her. Were you listening? There you go. Even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. I don't know her. It's none of her. It's not her business. The nurses seem to be happily ignorant about confidentiality, too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty, but Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird. I don't know why this is so hard for me. It feels like there is some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart.
Will they make you better?
No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think it's not quite I'm still not quite used to all this. At the hospital it was easy, but I still haven't sorted my feelings about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building and Rin leads us onwards towards the dorm. We stop at a small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on a slightly elevated ground, with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. The entire wall, made of some kind of bricks, as the building itself has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the gray plaster that covering most the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands. I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground besides the wall.
See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning.
That's called sleeping, Rin. That's called sleeping.
I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping with the negative spaces and base surfaces whenever, which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there are a lot of people with hands. The reach is better and it's faster too.
She goes on a tangent, waving a little with her arm or whatever of it is actually is, to demonstrate, even though I got the point already. The white cottons of her sleeves slap around and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place. It's almost like almost every tangible reminder of a student basis special properties has in the past few days. The girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already and just keeps on blabbering.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there's something I need to figure out, and then figure out before it's too late and all hope is lost.
Why would the hope be lost?
Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time.
She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project? You did this?
Yes.
All of it?
Yes.
Nice, but... I stumble with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into a minefield of political incorrectness.
It's okay, you can say it. I probably won't get mad.
Probably. I blushed really hard. I didn't really know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels like I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward.
Don't you want to ask?
How do you paint without hands?
See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet.
I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do?
You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is, but maybe I'm used to it by now.
I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was using her feet to eat, I figured painting might not be a problem either. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject.
The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat?
Well, paintings tend to be flat.
Look at her face.
It's like, you're an idiot.
I'm sick of your shit.
Yeah.
Not like that flat. You know, flat. Like some people are. No substance, no meat where there should be some. I know a few girls who...
Okay, I get it, but I couldn't really tell. I'm not good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms, so I don't really have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it and looking up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there.
I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it's too dark. I wanted to get a halogen lamp, like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any.
Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be of any help, though.
It's just mixing some paints. You can do that. Probably. Do you have motor control problems? Like, you know, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe?
Not that I know of.
I get it. Heart thingy has nothing to do with that.
She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't.
Let's do it then.
So she sits on the empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between her toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can to the bowl like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work, every now and then asking me for a hand with something or another. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last milliliter. Wow. Milliliter before she is satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best.
Add half a splash of green.
I crouch down to pick up a can of bright green.
The other green. This green.
I carefully pour some of the other green paint into the mixing bowl.
No, that's almost a whole splash. More white. Is green a good color to add?
No idea. You're the artist here. A hint of a smile appears in the corner of her mouth.
Do you lack an opinion?
No, it's just that I have no idea.
It's okay, because I just got an idea. Add more white.
With that exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter?
That's not good. It has to be like the color when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of life in your dream, but you can't remember it. Maybe it's yellow. What the hell?
That is not a color. What?
Wow, she's like super artistic.
Yeah, despite the impossibility of mixing a color like the change of season or any other nonsense that's being imposed on me, I find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Seeing a painting being born on the plastered wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paint crouching down on the paving and just looking at her work. It feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works the details, adding layers of paint on top of other layers of paint, steadily moving her foot across the wall to add new shapes. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on her face is oddly rewarding. Apart from the few words when discussing paint mixtures, neither of us has a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthanded, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code works for various paints and hues. As if there was some need to conserve words and breathe the sound.
Breath.
Breath and sound. Oh, conserve words and breath and sound. Right. We stay there late into the evening until it becomes too dark to paint properly. Oh, they make progress on that little white mural.
Bedtime.
No, she has to go meditate.
Meditation time.
The next morning. The sound of an alarm pulls me out of the fitful slumber and into the pleasant state of wakefulness. I linger under the blanket for a few minutes, gathering energy to rise up while making excuses as for why I already haven't. Honestly, I wouldn't mind staying here for all day. Okay, school is surprisingly exhausting after a long pause, and the culture shock still has not faded, I think. Still, despite getting an impression that skipping class is easy here, I don't think they are going to let me get away that easily. And the nurse is bound to keep breathing down my neck with a talk of exercising as well. So eventually I do rise up, swallow the morning medications, and put on my old soccer clothing. Thanks to my condition, I was exempt from taking part in gym class at Yamaku, so I didn't get issues with the gym outfit. I'd order some to cover such a contingency, but wearing an old soccer clothes is kind of nostalgic. I can't use them for that anymore, so maybe they can get a new life this way, a bit like me. After all, if I'm going to start taking care of myself, I can't afford to slack around. I'll start from the basics. Basics which include keeping the rest of my body in shape along with what little I can do to strengthen my heart. Maybe then I can go back to something approaching a normal life, or at least something where I'm less likely to fall over dead at any minute. I'm surprised to discover that I'm not the only one present at the track. Not just that, but it's a face I've seen before. The prosthetic-legged girl who pulled me over in the hallway yesterday is running on the track lithely. Like a
Lively.
No,
Lithely? Yeah.
Lithely. Okay, lithely. Track lively. Let's just... Running on the track lively. Like a half a mechanical gazelle. What was her name again? It was a short one, but I can't remember. She seems to be running laps at somewhat easy lope, her prosthetic legs clacking rhythmically and on the hard track surface. I wonder what reason she has for running this early in the morning. Maybe it's something akin to mine, and the nurse is suppressing the poor girl to jog, just like he is suppressing me. I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for my health and his prompting me to do so. And even with things being like that, it's only because I wanted to get out of the way early. The fact that I would be less likely to encounter someone who would witness my pitiful attempts to get in shape was merely a happy accident. I'd leave, but it seems that my former assailant noticed me on her last lap. She waves at me cheerfully and jogs over.
Good morning. Your name is Hisao, right?
She grins, seemingly pleased that she remembered my name.
You may not remember me. Emmy, I knocked you over in the hall yesterday.
How could I forget such a blunt introduction? Emmy has the decency to look vaguely apologetic for a moment before giggling. Oh, so cute!
That I thought about for a very long time. I never hoped for another dream to come true. If you could just return to being brothers in crime. And if that's really fine by your standards, there's a reason left for me to disagree. But that was just a tiny little part of song that I hide.